Welcome to Life Gloss, a beauty podcast for sassy and seasoned women who have lived life and have a drawer full of lip gloss to prove it. We're your hosts, Susan Gerdeman
and Hillary Clark Mina. Join us each Thursday as we discuss life and how it relates to the world of beauty inside and out.
So, Hillary, I've made a really big life decision.
Ooh, how big?
I'm going down in flames.
Ooh, that sounds glamorous. Take me with you. I can't live in this beauty world without you.
I can't live without you either. But seriously, I'm going down in flames. If we're lucky, I think there comes a time in our lives, where we look in the mirror and we really see ourselves. Really see ourselves. Then we have to make a decision. Are we at the point of acceptance? Are we at the point of reflection? Which is it? Is it fight or is it flight?
Yeah. Is it game on or is it game off? Are you going down in flames by giving up, or what is your definition?
Or fighting the fight. Exactly. And it's such a personal choice, but it's a choice. And
I don't like that word fight because I don't feel like we have to fight because this is such a glorious place to be.
Right. But it is a choice without judgment. And that's part of self-acceptance as we get older. We make a choice of how we want to age, no judgments. And I choose to accept the fact that I'm aging. And I am so incredibly grateful for this, Hill. And we'll talk in future episodes about why I'm so passionate about being grateful for my aging process. I'm just happy to be here. There was a time a few years ago where I might not have been. And I am so grateful for being here. And there isn't a day that goes by that I don't practice that gratefulness. But I also, at the same time, even in my meditations, I still want to look and feel my best. So that's why I call it, I'm going down in flames. How do you feel about all this?
Well, this has been a really interesting year and a half for me. Again, we will go into this in greater detail in our next episode, but I started menopause very early. I was full on in menopause. I just turned the corner on year 2. So I started to see the changes in my own skin that I've seen in my clients' skin for decades. So,
wow.
And I didn't have time to get up to speed. All of a sudden I was there. I was seeing differences in texture. I was seeing, lax skin. I was just seeing almost overnight. And I guess they say that that's how it happens, but almost overnight for me, things changed. So it's been interesting. I too am finding a strange sense of peace, acceptance, and joy. And before anybody, comes for me saying that I'm just being way too positive, it's been really hard. There's been this really intense liberation, and I'm enjoying all of the new things that I'm trying now.
Yeah. Again, it's such a personal journey, but I do think that we all get to that point where we say, are we in it or are we getting out of this? How do we want to approach it? What do we want to do? What does anti-aging even mean anymore? We see it in the ads. We are inundated with Instagram ads. We're out in the world. We're seeing celebrities. We're seeing, moms at the drop off at school, whatever it is, wherever you're at on your journey. What does anti-aging even mean? Is it a negative thing? Is it a positive thing? Is it an antiquated expression? I have my opinions on it. What are yours?
So I've decided to flip the script on this a little bit. A number of years ago, Allure magazine banned the term anti-aging. And I thought that was an interesting response. I felt like it was taking a stance against accepting negativity about our age, which is good. But at the same time, they still continue to cacao and, to pull the line for anti-aging. They're just calling it several different things. So for me, anti-aging means prevention. So it means we are going to turn into these gloriously rich, wealthy women. And when I say rich, I mean rich and wealthy with experience, joy, pain, trauma, success.
That's
And
right.
that's what makes the woman that walks in the room that captivates you so evocative. So to
Mhm.
me, anti-aging means how can I protect and preserve the moment that I'm in so that I get to have a lot more of these moments?
I agree with you. I think flipping the script is the way to go. I mean, I think you can look at anything with the word anti is really negative. And I do think that the beauty industry is out there to play on our insecurities and make us feel less than by coming up with this negative anti-aging word. God forbid you age, honey. But I like your take on flipping the script. And I think that's what's being done with this whole pro aging movement. It's kind of saying, wait a second, anti aging technically does mean to stop the process. But do we
Right.
want to stop the process, or do we want to embrace the process, or do we want to stop the process? And I think this is where we get into this no judgment zone. I think we're just so inundated with hearing what's wrong with us as women.
Right.
And rather hear what's right with us. Like I said earlier, I'm grateful. It's a gift I'm here. I thank God every day. But that being said, pro aging is this whole new sort of movement that I love. And to your point, flipping the script and saying we're all getting older. Let's look at it from a positive point of view. It's a gift to age. It's something that hopefully we all get a chance to do. But is there something wrong with wanting to do it in a more graceful way? Is there something wrong with wanting to slow it down? Is there something wrong for mourning the face you used to have?
Absolutely not. And I think that acceptance is really important. You live on the East Coast. I live on the West Coast. I'm in Los Angeles, smack in Beverly Hills. So,
Mhm.
I'm in the face factory. Like I see it all here. You see it all differently there because the coasts are different.
They are.
This is a tough culture on women. And I do see women here really beating themselves up. Now, that's
Yeah.
very different from when I lived in Europe and when I lived in Switzerland, where women were meticulously polished and their
Mhm.
skin was glowing. They had that rich bitch skin, but it
Mhm.
did have some lines. It did have some
Mhm.
wrinkles. And
Mhm.
every single person, it's kind of like choosing your own soundtrack for like your wedding or your own soundtrack. It's not even your wedding, it'd be like your own personal party, like choosing your own
Right.
soundtrack.
Right.
That's kind of
Right.
what, like, visualize who you want to be in this chapter. And as you would choose your soundtrack, choose your approach to this part of the journey in the same way. And the good news is we now have the technology and the products that we really can take things on board that fit our lifestyle, that fit our belief systems, that
Right.
fit what's important to us, but can also service us. So maybe you do a facelift. Maybe you don't do a facelift. Maybe you
Mhm.
do a little Botox, maybe a peel. Maybe it's just sunscreen and joy. But one thing I know for me, I like the way that I look the most when I look happy. I'm at a point in my life where I'm really
100%.
happy on the inside, and everything that I do on the outside is to help reflect that. That's not to say that I didn't get in my car the other day and look in my car window and get that horrifying glance from under the chin and think, oh my. But anybody looking at me from that direction is underneath me for a good reason or a bad reason.
The worst, I have to say, let every woman in and every man in a little secret. The worst mirror you can look into in life is the rear view car mirror. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Just after.
Unless you're checking your foundation color, then it's a good one.
Listen to me, Hell. I'm telling you, do not at all costs over the age of 50. You are not going to recognize the face that is looking back at you. All right. Because I'm kind of at that age now where your face looks one way and your mind is another way. Your body looks one way and your body feels another way and your mind is another way. It's like I'm forever 16 in my head. So that's a whole other podcast. You and I have been around this industry long enough to know it's all marketing strategies. It's all mumbo jumbo. It's all smoke and mirrors, pro aging, anti aging. Call it whatever the hell you want. I call it looking and feeling your best and meeting yourself in a point of acceptance with no judgment wherever you are in life.
Amen. And do it your way. And
Do
that's
it
really
your way.
why we decided to start this podcast, is to open up the forum. We have the background, we have the experience. We're always learning. We definitely don't know it all, but
Correct.
we're opening this up to talk about the products, the tips, the techniques, the procedures that you can have or you can choose not to have. And we are seeing a lot of that pushback and a lot of that natural beauty. There isn't anything more beautiful to me than a really happy human being.
Yeah, let's talk about that. First of all, I think from the beginning, we always said when we wanted to start this beauty podcast, and we knew that our listeners were definitely going to be the 40 plus category of listeners. I think transparency is something that we promised. And as we start to do lives and as people go to our website and start to see us and whatnot, and please God, don't judge us, we're putting ourselves out there. It's important for us to be 100% transparent in our journeys. So what procedures and what things have you done so far?
So I am at the point where in my 30s, I was able to do a little Botox here and there. I have an extremely expressive face. So wrinkles set in, resting wrinkles set in for me pretty early on. I've kind of here and there with them. I'm not getting injections every 3 months, but now as I am as of today, 49. Over the past 5 years, I've noticed that I have a really hard time doing Botox in my forehead. I've gone to the best. I've gone to them all. They've shot me in all the places, but they always make my eyes droop. So I have learned to love and embrace my forehead. It's always a journey. When I definitely will sport the Brigitte Bardot bangs, that's for sure. I will do a little Botox here and there. I do professional microneedling with PRP. I've done Fraxel. And when I do these procedures, as far as I'm concerned, my face starts at my hairline and ends at my nipples. So I do everything face, neck, and chest.
That's so smart. I always learned that from you. You were always like talking to me about that. And I think that's so mention.
SPF every day.
Yeah.
And we can, when we glossip at the end, we can talk about,
we're gonna talk about our
products.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about products. For me, full transparency, I did try fillers one time. And didn't really notice a difference because there really wasn't a lot to do at that point. And I just didn't really notice a difference. And it was an experience I didn't love. So never done them again. They're long gone now. Not that you could even tell. She did such a light touch and she was wonderful. But I just wasn't into it. I was like, oh, what do I need to fill up? And I do love Botox. I have to say, I have been getting Botox for past few years. I kind of came late to the party in it. I wasn't doing Botox.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. I came pretty late. I mean, the one thing I have to thank my family for, and my parents especially, is great genes. So I, thank God, I have that on my side. But I do like my Botox. I get it in the 11s only. That's the only place I have it done. And I don't do it, all the time, but I do it, whenever I can. But I do like that because it makes me look a little less angry, being a mom with 2 teeth.
I wish that I could do it in my forehead, but I'm just no longer a candidate. I think that I've lost some of the firm feel that I used to have in my eyelids. So if I lose any distance there, they start to really droop and sag. So that's where I am with that. And as far as filler, I did lip filler. Gosh, it's almost 20 years. I would say about 16, 17 years ago. Yeah. And when I did it, unfortunately, my injector hit a few areas in my lips. And to this day, I still have capillaries that I've tried to treat with lasers, but I bear the marks. You guys will see it. If you ever see us on our lives, those are my little beauty battle wounds.
There you go. I do like the Botox in the 11s. It works for me. And that's pretty much it for me. And then I do like yearly. I do love a good IPL. I tend to be, my skin tone is lighter. And I will get some age spots and some broken capillaries, etc. And I really like an IPL. It just works for me. I think it just evens everything out. So yeah, I would say a little bit of Botox, a little bit of IPL laser. That's it for me at this point. Right. As far as features. But we can
I
talk more.
flirted. I
Yeah.
flirted with threads just to help to lift and smooth out my brow and lift the eye area. So I did a number of consultations, flirted with threads, but
Mhm.
ultimately I decided that because I'd had such an issue with breast implants and I'd had to take them out, I decided I
Right.
didn't necessarily feel good about having that material in my body. And I'm, not a super, crazy person when it comes to all that. I just know that my body had started to say, I don't want anything foreign in it. So
Yeah.
I declined doing that. So,
Yeah. And I'm starting to notice lines and wrinkles are not a concern for me. I don't really have lines and wrinkles majorly at all. I
mhm.
tend to look a little young in that case. Again, this is just genetics, people, just genetics. I hit the lottery with that one. But I am noticing I'm starting to get like a little bit like I feel like, oh, things are sagging, the jawline's a little softer, things that you start to obsess about. But then I think to myself, what does that mean? Do I start like talking about mini lifts? Do I start talking about lower face lifts?
Right.
And you and
Right.
I can go into this and start, but
Right.
is that something? Is that a path? And it's like, again, back to this judgment. Would I do it for myself? Absolutely. If it makes me feel better, I want to do it. Or do I wake up one day and say, oh, you know what? I don't really feel like doing anything to my face. I'm good. And I
Right.
think it's the type of thing that when I make a decision, I'll make that decision.
Right. For now, I get very good results using my zip, which, helps to lift the muscle. And I am a huge advocate of facial massage,
Oh, I love face. Yes.
rolling, gua sha,
Yes.
moving the lymph in the face is so important because that can make the face heavy and sag. If
I
I go without rolling or manipulating my face and even into my scalp, I see a massive difference.
yeah.
So that's
Well,
something that's free.
I've been rolling, washing when I think about it, and I do think the lymphatic, I think there's something to it, Hill. I really do.
Oh,
I
there
tend
is.
I tend to be very skeptical, but I do think there's something to it. And I think,
Well,
with inflammation as we get older and puffiness, I am also, I think, a health coach. I'm a graduate of IIN, really know about food as medicine, about, what exercise and living a stress-free life. I'm also, certified to teach meditation. So, I mean, all of these things, Hill, and you with your, being an esthetician, it's like all of these different things that we do in this beauty industry, whether we call it self-care or, beauty from within. I think it all has to do with pro-aging because to what you said earlier, the most beautiful women in the world are the happiest women in the world.
and on that note, Susan, inflammation is the number one enemy, not only to our skin and how we look, but for disease
Oh,
and aging in general. As a beauty editor for Sephora.com, I was so fortunate in 1999 and 2000 to spend a lot of time with Nick Perricone, whom I'm still
mhm.
close with and still speak to. And he was the pioneer of,
Yeah, he was a pioneer.
managing inflammation.
I agree. Let's get him on, Hill, because I think this is a whole other podcast. Inflammation. I dealt with an
Yes.
inflammatory disease. We can talk about that. I mean, inflammation. Oh my God, it's like a 10-hour
Well, it's
podcast, but
literally a
we'll,
killer.
we'll promise we'll do that. And please, listeners, let us know if you want to talk about inflammation with the skin and with the body. We're both qualified to talk about it and get some guests on to talk about it as well. So super quick, celebrity culture again could be a whole separate podcast if anybody's interested. You and I have worked with many celebrities over the years. We know the celebrity culture, having lived in Los Angeles, having been on the West Coast, the East Coast, etc. What celebrities are doing a good job at pro aging? Who are we liking right now?
So, there are two camps. There's the camp that is very vociferous about doing nothing and letting it happen. And then there are those that do it all. And in between, there are those that do some. I love seeing Helena Christensen. I
Yeah.
also love seeing Gwen Stefani. She
Yeah.
looks beautiful.
I mean, I think for me, celebrities that I think of at the top of my head that are pro aging really well and are also really vocal about it. I'm a huge Jamie Lee Curtis fan. I love
Mm.
Simone. I love Helen Mirren. I love these women that are like, this is me. I love me. I look beautiful. And here we go. On the other hand, you have the celebrities who I also think are absolutely beautiful women as well. I think Lisa Rinna is gorgeous. I
Yes.
think, Cher is gorgeous. I think, Oprah looks beautiful. I mean, we could go on and on and on, I mean, the whole cast of the Real Housewives of any city, those women put some effort into how they look. Let's be honest. And bravo for them, no pun intended. I mean, they really, in a lot of cases, look great. And again, they're doing their pro aging differently. Let's face it. They've had every
Well,
procedure.
and the scrutiny that they're under is unforgiving.
That they're under is completely unfair. And I've always said that. The celebrity culture as a whole, everybody just wants to pick apart and say, oh, they look like that because they did this, this, and this. Why are we judging? What's
We're
wrong with
so
that?
mean. It's so mean spirited.
If they want to do it and they look good, let them do it. And guess
Right.
what? If they do it and you don't think they look good, don't say
It's none of
something.
your business.
It's none of your, and it's also
Let them
their
be.
job to look good.
Let them be. And they're real people too. Like,
Correct.
just because they're in the public eye
That's right.
doesn't mean that they're fodder for fire. Like, let them be. They have to look in their mirror every morning too. So pump the brakes.
And hopefully not in the rear view mirror of the car at 9 a.m. But
right.
The same thing with the women who have chosen to not do anything like I had just mentioned. So many of those women, let's not tear them down either. It's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, right? Like, oh, that one needs a facelift, or oh, that one should get bigger lips, or that one should. It's like, this has to stop. It all has to stop. We are so mean spirited. And I think we need to just let women go on their journey. And speaking of journeys, as we sort of shift from our life portion of Life Gloss and we move into our gloss portion, or as I like to call it, our glossip time, there's so many companies, I think, that are doing really good jobs at addressing pro-aging and addressing our needs as we mature. What are some of our favorite products? Let's just talk about some products and then give some tips as to some things that our listeners can do that are so easy on your journey as you go down in flames if you want to. So Hill, let me ask you, lightning round.
Yes.
Prescription products. Let's talk about prescription products really quick. Favorite prescription product for you? What is it?
So I've been exploring and using tretinoin. Again, I used to use Retin-A when I had cystic acne in my 20s, late 20s, but I've started dabbing my toe into tretinoin, the 0.1%. I like it. I use it alone. I layer it. I mix it up depending on what my skin's needs are. You don't have to be so precious and sandwiched and all this stuff. Just use it where you can tolerate it, if you can tolerate it. And I find that helps me with texture and on my chest with clarity.
Yeah. Who else uses that product? My daughter. And the results are incredible. But again, this is a product, tretinoin is industry gold for any age. From teen all the way up. I unfortunately can't use tretinoin. And so if there's any listeners out there that are in the Hillary camp of I love my tretinoin, because it is really a miracle prescription product. I have been using Altrino. So I don't know if anybody's heard of that out there, but I have a great dermatologist here on the East Coast who turned me on to Altrino. And I have to tell you, I love it. I have noticed such a difference in my skin's texture, firmness. All of the little sunspots are gone. The stuff is miraculous. So I'm a big fan of prescription Altrino if you can't use a tretinoin. I really do like that.
I've referred that to a lot of my clients since you shared that with me. They've been really happy. Yes.
It's good for people who are hypersensitive and can't tolerate certain retinols, but I love it. I think it's like encapsulated. So it's a super gentle delivery system and I love it. Altrino, I love you. How about, I'm going to get a t-shirt made. How about mass products? Again, listeners, when we say mass, we mean drugstore. This is industry slang, mass and class. So Hill, mass pro-aging product. What are you loving?
So for me, mass pro-aging, Make Beauty does a supercell cream. I like a very heavy cream, but I don't like a greasy feel. So I'm looking more for hydration. I think my skin now is more dehydrated than it is dry, but it's straddling. I'm very thirsty lately. And the supercell, it hydrates me, but it's not greasy and it's affordable. So I can feel really good about slathering it on everywhere.
I am a huge fan of La Roche-Posay, everything they do. I think they are just an incredible company as far as over-the-counter skincare products and dermatologists.
Science. Yeah, science is great.
They have great science behind them, great funding behind them. They're an outstanding company. They make a product, a moisturizer called Tolérine Sensitive Fluide. And that's my attempt at my French. It's a wonderful, easy moisturizer when you just want hydration and moisture. It's fantastic. I love it. As far as class products go, I am in love with not the price, but I am in love with Sicily Ecological Compound Moisturizer. I think it's a great everyday moisturizer. It's wonderful to hydrate, but it's also great for environmental protection, antioxidant protection. She's a good one. She's just she's pricey for sure.
She's pricey. She's pricey.
Yeah.
Yes. I love something that has, a vitamin C, any sort of tyrosinase inhibitors for dark spots. Those I go for all day, a snow mushroom over a hyaluronic. But when I'm really indulging, I love the May Lindstrom, her blue cocoon. It feels exactly the way that it sounds. It makes I feel like it makes my heart sing somehow. But it's definitely wraps you in a blanket of delicious hydration. It goes on like a solid oil and it dries down beautifully. She is pricey too, but considering the way it's sourced and made, I understand it.
Yeah. And a moisturizer that I find that is similar to that in the feel of it, it's super hydrating and just feels luxury, but without necessarily that price tag is, and I've used it for years, and you know what I'm going to say, the Dr. Hauschka Rose Cream is outstanding. Outstanding.
It is outstanding.
If you just want that real hydration, it's a beauty. Again, you and I could talk about products for the rest of our lives, and we probably will be.
We will.
But give us, as we're wrapping up now, Hill, give us your number one anti-aging tip. And then I'm going to give my number one anti-aging tip.
Lymphatic drainage and orgasms.
Oh my God. You kill me. Okay. So I love you so much. My anti-aging tip, sunscreen. Sunscreen, sunscreen. I'll say it. I can put it on repeat for the next 10 years. When everyone, always asks me, especially if you're doing someone's makeup and they say, "You're how old?" Oh my God. I always say sunscreen. We're going to do a whole podcast on sunscreens because I feel like I have not only worn everyone's sunscreen and used everyone's sunscreen, but ladies and gentlemen, the type of sunscreen that you use as you mature may indeed change because so many of them can feel very drying on the skin. So we're going to talk about that, Hill. I promise.
Oh, yes. We're going there.
Yeah. Yeah, we are.
We're peeling back the umbrella and doing something.
We're peeling back the layers as we go down in flames. So whether you choose to go down in flames or whether you choose to rise from the ashes, if you're fortunate enough to age, you should enjoy the journey, judgment free.
Amen. And listeners, we love meeting you. Come back next week for Turn and Face the Strange. We're going to discuss the booming and no longer, thank goodness, controversial menopause beauty industry. We're going to talk about silver washing, the freedom to age gloriously, and tips to look and feel better in your next life chapter. Meanwhile, find Life Gloss on Instagram and TikTok at lifeglasspodcast.com and on our website, lifegloss.com. You just might catch us live on TikTok. You never know. All right, everybody. Susan, stay glossy.
Hillary, stay glossy.